access to free quality education, addressing the national teacher shortage, improving learning outcomes to implementing a sustainable school feeding program. Education remains a hot topic ahead of the 2022 general election. Serfine Achieng unpacks the manifestos of both Kenya Kwanza Alliance on one side and Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Alliance on the other, breaking down the plans for the country's education sector.
Participated in the bottom-up forums, the hustlers.
Both the Kenya Kwanza Alliance and the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Alliance manifestos seek to fix the inequitable education system, but through different modalities. On the cost of education, the Azimio team, led by Raila Odinga and Martha Karua, commits to, if elected, waste not a single child by making sure every child has access to free, quality education from primary to university level. For William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagwa's Kenya Kwanza, they seek to improve the capacity of day secondary schools to guarantee access to affordable and quality education. To further reduce the cost of education, the coalition promises to introduce a special tariff for utilities for learning institutions.
Education is going to be free. By free, I mean free. Truly free.
The two manifestos are telling us that it is totally free. When your child goes to a school, the child goes to school free. So what all Kenyans should be asking and be worried about, the cost implication, where is it going to be? Because somebody has to pay for it. There is never free lunch in this world. If we talk about free education, it means somebody somewhere is paying for it.
On the school feeding program, Kenya Kwanza pledges to double the amount of money allocated to immediately raise the number of beneficiaries from 2 million to 4 million.
We're going to double to 4 million as national government, and every county that want to match, we are going to assist them to match a shilling for a shilling so that we can move the number of our children who have food in school to 8 million. That's our target.
If Raila clinches the top seat in the August 9th polls, he will facilitate the provision of one nutritionally balanced free meal per child attending the early childhood development class and lower primary. The Azimio coalition also hopes to establish a national fund to ensure that students across the country have equitable access to bursaries, with the Kenya Kwanza Alliance intending to cast their net wider to ensure inclusion of learners with disability.
We also agreed that we increase capitation of pupils living with disability by another 50% and set aside 15% of public funded bursaries set aside for pupils living with disability.
Both parties are also keen on addressing the current teacher shortage crisis.
600,000 teachers will be employed in the next 100 days when Azimio takes power. That's a big thing to chew for any economy, for any system. I don't know how the payroll will look like. I don't know how the interviews will be done. I don't know how they don't give us how they'll do it. Now, that's where these manifestos fall short. They give us what they'll do, but they don't give us the structures of how they will implement them. The one of Kenya Kwanza is actually even more convincing to any teacher who listens to what they're saying. In this way, in two tranches, they're saying they'll be able to employ the shortage of teachers. The shortage of teachers in this country at the moment is 116,000. That means approximately around 50,000 teachers. If they can employ 50,000 teachers in 1 year, another 50,000 teachers in another year, it looks reasonable because we have been employing around 10 to 20,000.
The Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Alliance has promised to, among others, improve the working conditions, welfare and training of teachers, with the Kenya Kwanza pledging to motivate teachers by paying for the teachers in service training and restructuring the delocalization policy to introduce special allowances for teachers working away from home. Regarding higher education, Kenya Kwanza proposes an increment in the funding for institutions of higher learning, which, according to the Deputy President William Ruto, face a huge debt burden.
Most of our universities only get maybe 50%, maybe 55% of the money they require to be able to run the programs they run. And as a result, universities have 65 billion shilling debt to NHIF, to NSSF, to pay as you earn. So, in fact, the Auditor General said the other day, all our universities are technically insolvent.
Yes, these universities need the money. You need to tell us, what do you want to do with these universities so that they can get money? Now, I can give you a good example again from Kibaki time. Kibaki came up with something called parallel programs within the universities. These kind of programs like parallel programs, exchange programs, are the ones that build monies for colleges. We needed to hear from those manifestos telling us, what are these universities going to do to get money? We can't just be injecting money to them as taxpayers and then the money just disappears.
Kenya Kwanza also plans to establish a national skill and funding council to synchronize issuance of scholarships. On the Azimio la Umoja manifesto, Raila proposes a review of the Higher Education Loans Board lending model by expanding the limit to reflect the cost of living in Kenya, as well as removing the interest rates accrued and Commission Reference Bureau listing of the graduates. A key pillar of the education agenda is the promotion of technical training. Raila proposes to, among others, increase enrollment in technical and vocational education and training institutions, as well as provide adequate funding to mid-level colleges and TVET institutions to offer quality education. But if Ruto wins the election, he vows to construct fully equipped technical training and vocational education training institutions in the remaining 52 constituencies within the first 2 years of his presidency.
You know, TVET education is a very specialized kind of education. If you are taking education to wherever, Homa Bay, Huisero, or wherever, and you want to take there a college, a TVET, you need people qualified who are able to teach. If it's masonry, if it's plumber, if it is whatever, you need the teachers, the know-how, the people who know it. And that's what they needed to tell us first, how they're going to train the people who know carpentry. I like what the Azimio now says, that they're going to come up with a special way to grade the people, the Juakali sector, for example. Now, you see, a person in Juakali sector knows how to work with wood or with metal. That person needs a good certificate, so that with that certificate, he can be employed to become a teacher in a TVET.
Comparing how the manifestos address the rigidity of the education system, the Kenya Kwanza administration seeks to review the current exam-based system of academic progression, while a Raila Odinga presidency promises to initiate the recognition of prior learning certification program to recognize workers with skills that do not necessarily fall within the formal education system.
We cannot really do away with exams. The thing should be, or we should be being told, is measurements. Tests and measurements, that's the right word. Remove the word exam, but bring in the word tests and measurements. So these measurements are able to measure every level of every person, every student who comes to school. We are not really examining them, because exam comes with pass and failure. But tests come with, have you reached the level or have you not reached the level? So that's what our politicians need to be talking about. But they are already addressing it. When we hear things like CBC in the Azimio manifesto, when we hear the Deputy President in the Kenya Kwanza also talking about reducing exams, they're already addressing it, because exams have locked out many of our people.
And to support research and innovation, Ruto has committed to increase funding to research and development institutions from the current 0.8% to 2% of the GDP, while Raila promises to establish a research and design fund for students who develop innovative solutions, products and services. Education remains a key pillar in the economic revolution, which the political players hope to steer if elected on the 9th of August, whose approach to this critical sector will augur well with the interest of Kenyans. Only time will tell. Serfine Achieng, Prime Edition, Nairobi.